Hey guys, and good afternoon. God, it's Monday again, isn't it? Well, you've joined the Wicked Lady Hippy at the bar live for what that's worth. I keep trying this. I'm not sure whose time I'm wasting since I don't really seem to have a lot of viewers. This is my second channel. I had the terrible injury and I was off the air for about 10, 12 months, and my channel was frozen. So I've had to pick it up and do a different channel. I mean, it's too much to explain all the other one, although I believe it still works, which is just Lady Hippie at the Bar. If you want to see any of the older episodes, I like to do this live. I prefer to do it live. I'm getting my live chat out now. So, hey, everybody, come join the fun. I like to talk about anything and everything, be it ghosts to what is the government doing wrong now, like every freaking thing. That you've got some background, I think, maybe not. Let's see. I'm a veteran, published author, retired. That's me pretty much in a nutshell. Mother of one, grandmother of two. My grandson is also an Army veteran, which means I'm not 19. But thank you so much for those compliments. Now, yeah, age is scar. It's a state secret, I'm afraid. Wanted to see everybody. I don't know if I can really do what I've been doing, which was trying to go on every day, sometime between 12 and 3 o'clock or stretching to 4. So I'm kind of in the middle. So if you really want to see, you can always just pull me up, or you can join me. If you subscribe, it'll give you, of course, a notification that Dumbass is back at the bar, which would be me again. I'm the only one here. I have a husband. No, he does not come on. So I try to even block the front door. My bar is basically the bottom part of my home, which used to be a living room, a dining room, yada yada. So those couple of rooms were made into the bar. We have a Remington. It's a very, very big bar with the big mirror on the other side, places for the stemware and the bottles of wine. And there's a small refrigerator and an ice maker and 3 or 4 sets of how to make this or that drink. We got an old fashioned one for Christmas that I'm looking forward to trying, which we haven't broke out yet for some reason, mainly because we've been just ill since the first of the year. I think everybody's caught this crud. They've been telling all of us. My care is through the VA. And just as an update, the Medicare and Medicaid thing you're paying for your entire life, yeah, they don't pay for nothing. You got to get somebody like, I don't know, Humana is where my husband goes through. So you have to pay them insurance. So you can use your Medicaid and Medicare and it'll pay for something. I have no idea why they took all my money and I don't get to use it, but I just stay with the VA and I'm blessed with that. Thank you very much. There are other things I like to talk about. I'm 2 or 3 episodes behind on checking, going back in. I don't like to edit. I'd like to just be me and just play right through. And sometimes it doesn't come out well. I should say this is for entertainment purposes only, although I really do not at this point know how entertaining I am. You'll have to forgive me. My circumstances here keep changing. We're renovating. I had the horrific accident, cut and move, that kind of thing. So I'm back. I don't pick a specific topic to speak about. I think we should all just get up here and say whatever the hell we want. There's so much going on, and I love this medium, and it's free. God knows how long, because YouTube opened the Black Channel like a year and a half ago or so, that you have to pay to do. So many people buy channels that they end up paying more than they would if they just stayed with Dish or Direct TV. I had Direct TV for a decade. It was $25.99. We moved and it went and shot its ass up to $200 a month. I was like, oh, tried cable for a while. They would go up every month, trying to catch up to satellite. So after years of struggle, I decided to go with home-wide Wi-Fi and just watch whatever the shoot we can catch. Of course, all the shows that I've gotten interested in, especially through BBC or Prime, they've moved to Acorn and this and that. So by the time I would pay for all of those channels, I might as well have gone to Tahiti for the year. It's like, it's still a kidney. I'm not going to do that. I'm from, this is what I'm hoping to find. Those of us who are like minded, and I know there's a lot of us that grew up and we straddled two centuries. We straddled a century where kids just weren't fucking up. Very rarely did you hear of a kid hitting their mother or their father or shooting them or what. I mean, it happened. I have no idea why. It's an evil world, um, but not like it has been recently. There are whole states and particularly large cities, of one of which I'm was born in, Chicago. I'm totally disgraced by even admitting that. I do not understand how you can say, no, we don't obey federal laws. We put the people who come here from other countries and don't even have a shot record and aren't required to have an ID into our hotels. And we get the people who do have those shot records and IDs and paid for all that. Yeah, they get to pay for it. Well, they don't like it when I talk about that stuff. So y'all join in. Let's talk about that shit. There's also the wonderful thing that we have of this technology that we talk about. We really don't seem to understand what is at our fingertips. I used to have to go to a library, the major libraries in Chicago. I mean, you get on the L and get off, and you could go to the museums and the big library. And I read so much they knew me in there. I didn't even have a checkout date or a return date. It was just, she's got 15 books. She'll bring them back tomorrow, and that's what you did if you wanted to know anything. The parents even bought us the Britannica Encyclopedia set, and it was pretty good for what we had. You had three stations, sometimes four. PBS was more than snow. TV went off the air at 10, and you had the American flag sometimes, or just snow, depending on where you lived, but it went off. You had advertisers that stood behind their products, and if they didn't, they went off the air and you didn't buy their products. They say, oh, that was censorship. Well, maybe. Or maybe it was reporters that it just, there's no such thing hardly anymore. Although I love Douglas Murray. Hey, Douglas. He's a great historian. I kind of group him with reporters because of his wartime work and so forth. Great guy. I don't understand my own country. I don't understand suddenly my own kid or my grandkids. Not a clue anymore. My grandson, I was so tight with, we used to finish each other's sentences. We were tighter than me and my son had been. And he came back. He served in Korea. He got out after that. I didn't blame him. Um, he always said it was because Grandma wore army boots. Yes, I did. I joined the WAC Corps. We landed. We were not at the WAC Corps. The WAC Corps had been disbanded, and I was now at Fort Jackson in the regular Army. We were told you can get out if you want, or you can try to stay. I aced that shit. So my girls. They also didn't tell me having rank when you went in was a bad thing. It's a bad thing. Watched Private Benjamin movie with Goldie Hawn. She almost got my part down pat. So, and now we have female pilots as Blue Angels and all that. Yeah, we didn't have none of that when I went in. So it was awesome. It was awesome. I still miss it. Worked on the civilian side of the government for many, many years. Been all over the world, DC included. Boy, that's a snake bit. Truthfully, it's a clusterfuck. But yeah, this is why I say no kids allowed. I maybe should have worked in it faster. Sometimes the army in me comes out. We are at the bar. And so those of you who are on live chat are talking to me, it's afternoon here in Augusta, Georgia. Hopefully it doesn't matter what the hell time it is usually me if I'm at my bar. I don't got to call Uber. I don't have to walk home. I rarely go to the bar, although my husband does keep my favorite drinks stocked. I like my whiskey on the rocks. And he buys me these little fireballs. They're whiskey fireballs. They had that burst of cinnamon back like the candies we had when we were kids, when the phone was mounted on one wall and you had to be a linebacker to get to it. I've been using a cell phone since 1989. My husband made me do this. I didn't want to do that. Then he made me get a computer at home back when it was dial-up internet, AOL, America Online. Yeah, I'm old. I am that freaking old. Well, I grew up as black and white TV. If you were lucky, maybe there would be something on like Lucy. Otherwise, it was Dad's baseball and Mom's daytime dramas. Didn't blame her. She was a sit-at-home mom, poor thing. It would drive me nuts. I thought it would because I'm retired now, and it turns out I'm busier now than I was when I was working 2 jobs and going to college, raising a kid by myself. It seems like anyway. Live one exit from my only child, my son, his wife, and my 2 grandchildren. Again, my grandson is grown. My granddaughter's 13. And this is the longest I've settled into any place in my life. My son moved here. We moved here and took over his place when they got a much bigger place because they were expecting a baby when their son was 13. So they got a much bigger home, brand new. They watched it being built. It's great. And we took the starter home they had because it was small. We had downsized. We thought enough. It wasn't. Had to get rid of a lot of stuff when we got here. And still, there was barely anything on the walls that you could get to clean because there was so much stuff. And back then, the segregation between the 2 rooms there was and all that. Now, we've been painting and so forth. There's hardly anything up on the walls. And like behind me, it's crooked and stuff. Yeah, I leave that to the husband. I'm thinking I might have to take over. I see one of my cats are laying. That's Penny, has curled up on the couch. I threw it. You'll have to forgive me. I threw one of their blankets on the coffee table there. You can kind of see it. I didn't get it off before I did this. Normally I do. At nighttime, I have tables that are glass inserts. And so at nighttime, because it's also cold for a change here in Augusta, below freezing, I was surprised. So I throw little float blankets up there so they can snuggle up and it doesn't hurt my glass. So they know they're allowed to do that. They have rules. Now, one of mine, I don't know why, but he decided that he would, every time I got on the air, he would come and photobomb me. So I'm waiting for him this morning. He looks like the one on the couch. They're like almost twins. I should start a nonprofit. We end up have become a shelter for cats. We live on a cul-de-sac, and there used to be a forest behind us, but then that Hurricane Helene hit. That was back when I had been severely injured and my leg was in pieces for a month because the hurricane hit and nobody had power or anything. You had to leave the city to find stuff. If you could get out of the city from the debris, there was so much down. Everybody had to have new wires, new posts. I mean, they were just, for me, I used to storm chase way back before we had a weather channel, unless it was WGN at 5:00 at night after Dan Rather or whoever. Walter Cronkite. And you had 3 channels, so it was like pick. I think one of them had theirs on later, or maybe dragged it out for 2 hours so they get more viewers. In any event, back in the day, we would chase storms, but we didn't have camcorders. You didn't have none of that stuff. If you were lucky, you had a camera. I had a 110. I had a Polaroid. That's what I had. And he would take the film in, and 4 weeks later, they'd call you and tell you it's ready. And you get there and you could almost see 3 of the pictures. They were 30. They printed all of them. They were black. And you had to pay $42.50. They must hate us now that we can do this. And there for a while, we used to just run our SIM cards in and print what we wanted at Walmart, but I had my own color printers of 2. But then again, if you go to printing photos, you're going to end up spending $500 on ink just to do, say, 10, 12 pictures, if they're the bigger size, the 8x10. And so we keep moving forward. Lord only knows what's next. I used to make jokes that we weren't Dick Tracy talking on our wrist phones yet, like it used to be in the cartoons when I was growing up. Yeah, we can do that now. They call them Apple Watches. I remember saying, I went, like most of us did in the North, for senior trip to Disney World, and they had the moving sidewalks in the World of Tomorrow exhibit. And we thought that was just so freaking cool. I did. And then a few years later, well, it wasn't even that. It was like a few months later, and I ended up, well, that was a couple of years before I ended up in Germany, stationed there. But when I landed at the airport, you were on these moving sidewalks. Of course, there were also men standing with M16s about every 20 feet on both sides. That was really freaky. Like, I'm pregnant. I'm in the Army. I'm like, what's this about? And it was because of terrorists, those same terrorists that now are on the, the UN, the PLO. Yeah, those Palestinians that everybody just loves. Pakistan is not a terrorist nation, but all of these stations, they were not on the UN at that time, and terrorism was new, and it was basically PLO if you look it up. And since everybody, unlike me, can now go to a tablet, which seems to be a favorite, or their smartphone, they can go to the library and download 4,000 things in about 2.5 minutes. So I don't see why anybody is stupid in that generation. However, I have a son in that generation. I'm on the tail end of it. I was there for the get go, beginning to the end. I had a manual typewriter when I started out in the military. We did not have Xerox. We had a thing called mimeograph or carbon paper. Look it up. That much time. So those were the things that I had growing up, and in the world of business and so forth, that they started changing there. And I think it was 91. It's a little fuzzy. But by the time I returned from Europe and had gone through DC and so forth, and then moved it back to San Antonio, where I'd gone to Fort Sam Houston. I loved it there. So I'd gone back there to start there and worked for the city government and ran a position that was attached to the VA and two other hospitals that were literally attached to the VA. UTHSC would just make it short. Um, so that was interesting, and I got to pick out all the new computers, which was all new to me anyway, which is why I kept going back to college. So I hated those people after a while. Um, so generally, there'd be one or two of us that almost understood what was going on and how these machines worked and what we could do with them. And that was like that until 2010. And right after that, let's see, I retired 10 or so years later. But it evened out suddenly. Even the smartphones, and you had to get it off of analog and go to digital and get the flat screen. Most of us have mounted them. I like them mounted. I agree. We even had the big TVs. My husband had to have one. It took up an entire wall and half a room most of the time. So didn't have to clean that room much, wasn't in there. So we've gone through all of those projection TVs and stuff like that. And now you've got the 70-inch mounted up in the corner or what have you. Got 3 or 4 scattered throughout the house. I think we have 4. During the pandemic, around that, my grandson had just beat that when he flew back from Korea. I mean, they were slamming the doors shut behind him as he flew. So it was amazing. So he stayed with us because his sister was still young too at that point. And we just made the upstairs into 2 apartments. He had one side, my husband had the other side because he had throat cancer and he survived. So I never argued with him. I just told him get in the other bedroom because I couldn't sleep for the snoring. So, which just worked out great. That's his man cave. I have the downstairs, basically. So the bar is mainly mine. They don't have to have a separate key, but if I could work that out, they would. So this is why I say, get up here. We'll talk about anything and everything. What, like I said, when I was storm chasing, you didn't have all that. You just followed the weather. So I learned what tornado paths and stuff looked like. So when Helene hit us, I knew we'd been hit by tornadoes throughout the neighborhood because that was the morning I was supposed to have surgery done. And just to put a lot of bones back together on one leg. And we almost made it, but they were calling me at the same time, going, you know what? They're not going to make it in. And it was bad at that point. This was basically at the same time that this was hitting us and spawning tornadoes that we were trying to get around those that are already down. And it came crashing down over and over. We managed to get back home. And we were lucky. We have a big RV that, like a Wonder Lodge. And then we have a pull behind RV, which is still fairly big and tall. And we have this packed just aside our house. And I think that's the only reason that it didn't like blow off roofs and stuff for us, because a lot of damage came through the back way, which took out the forest on either side, back and side of us. And yet and several trees. I think we lost 4 in the backyard. We have a big barn-like storage shed out there. It looks like a barn with the white trimming and the red. We had a smaller storage one across from it. We had glass tables. I had 2 on the front porch. I had a huge glass table in the back, barbecue pit, and all of this stuff. Didn't touch any of it. All those trees came down. I know there were many, probably, on the sides that we just left as forestry. There probably were at least 15 or 20 down. There was 3 or 4 in the backyard. And we were just astonished. He was going outside and taking pictures and bringing them to me because I couldn't move, of course. He had to get me in and out. And so it was terrifying. It really, I thought for sure, I'd never in my life, but since I've lived here, heard rain hit the side of the master bedroom because I was so severely injured at that point. My husband had returned to sleeping in the master bedroom because I needed help so bad. And who could sleep? They don't treat you for pain. You're just miserable, and all this stuff is going on now. There's no power. You're trying to get in and out. You're killing yourself to get there. You got to go back. And then for 2 weeks, there's nothing. The entire city of Augusta was shut down. And it hit North Carolina, they say worse than it hit us. And I know that we had 2 paths where tornadic activity went through. And we were astonishing lucky that it didn't even hit our barbecue pit. It didn't even move the barbecue pit. It did take our big iron bench that we had on the front porch and throw it across the yard, but it was still within our own boundaries and it didn't hit anything. All of the trees that came down didn't hit our buildings. It did take out one thing, which was my hot house, which broke my heart. It really, my husband had put flooring in there for me and everything, and it was wonderful. And this was September that it hit, so the temperature was just. My husband saved as many plants as he could, and you couldn't even get supplies. You couldn't. Nobody was open, so he did the best he could by putting up a tent that we had and put them all in there, and it helped. It saved quite a few of them. He was also. We have a generator. I didn't even know we had a generator, so he was able to keep a fan on me because it turned out at the end there it was very hot. Um, so I couldn't go outside where there's a breeze or anything. So windows in the house are open, and he's got these huge fans on me trying to keep me cool because I'm just miserable. And they even actually gave me pain pills finally. The VAER was still open, and I had to go down there, and their pharmacy was still open, so you could get into those two. Like the rest of the city, anything that was open was running on generators. We had a brand new Kroger about a mile and a half from us that had opened like 2 weeks before, and they brought in generators, and they opened their store. I think it was the first week, and I mean, we thought we were so smart that the night Helena hit, we had deliveries. I have Walmart Plus and all that because I couldn't get around. So I had them deliver, things for the cats, everything we would need, in case it was like a week before we went back. The city was shut down for a month. So my husband had to go out of town to get things, but we were very lucky. All of us were very, very lucky. Everyone I know in the subdivision, and we know quite a few people, we did not get sustainable damage. Some had roof tiles missing, some had fences that the trees had landed on, like us, the hot house. But there could have been so much more damage. We were very fortunate. So all that, so 2025 is a very memorable year. And I'm back on my feet. I'll never be 100% again, but I'm good enough. I mean, I don't have to have something to walk with or to ride in or what have you. So I'm liking that part. And I'm allowed to have these since I'm at my bar. So, toodle pip. I love the cinnamon. Mm-mm. I'm having some lovely brandy wines, cherry soda. It's great stuff. I can't stand soda, water, or anything, whatever, in a bottle. It has to be. Can't do the can thing. Everything tastes like metal. The only time I'll do this when I'm camping or something, and that's what we've brought, and they're ice cold, and you're very, very thirsty. Then they're okay. But I prefer the bottles. And actually, as long as I can get the bottles, I get those orange crush, root beer, brandy wine. Those were all bottled and behind the bar, so I'm good to go. And I like to have my whiskey on the rocks. So you'll see me hit this a few times. But honestly, I'm not drinking a lot. It's just a little bottle. Does I've had a few people think, well, she may be an alcoholic. She's not. Although the rest of the family was, they've already crossed over, bless all of them. It's not something I've ever been a big fan of. Younger, I would have drank, sure. Probably even older. Parties used to be at our house all the time. Everybody we knew, most of the family that was young enough like us, um, had small places or just did not want to have the expense of trying to do a party. And they're not cheap. We used to think it was funny. We would throw a birthday and anniversary party. Our birthdays are 3 days apart. We married on his birthday. Don't ask. So it was one big cake, three things out of the way, right? People would show up and do all that. So I always had these big cakes, but not one card, not one gift, not one card, nothing. We always had the Halloween parties. Everybody would show up. Nobody would bring anything. The only rule that I had was that you came in costume. If you didn't come in costume, don't come because it's a Halloween party. And since we moved down here, we stopped doing all that stuff. We were getting closer to retirement. We had moved to a new city for us, and we really didn't know as many people up until, probably 5, 6 years into living here. I started to know people. Now, I don't know, maybe we know too many people, but I've started this off. This is going, I think, the third year. And on my channel, I keep saying, if you see me, hit the dislike even. I don't care. Just hit something. I'm trying to give myself an excuse to continue to do it. And I tend to get up here and talk about things that I've done because I don't have a tit for tat thing going on this new channel. Don't have anybody in live chat. I do not throw up any videos unless you ask me to. It's kind of like a copyright thing with me. It seems like I'm using somebody else's stuff. And all of us have seen the footage anyway, or we would be talking about it. And the other thing I said I would do, and I try to remember, and I keep a bit of my time here, is the murder of Charlie Kirk, the assassination of that boy, that execution. I would always speak his name when I come on. I did not know he had a podcast. I didn't even know he had a wife and children. I knew him as the boy on campus who said, prove me wrong. And I really liked him. I love a good debate myself. And he made sense. He wasn't nuts. He wasn't up there saying we need to redo October 7th because the Palestinians are being exterminated. If the Gazans, and that's what they've been kind of starting to call them now, if the Gazans weren't all terrorists, if they hadn't killed 1,300 people and kidnapped a couple hundred and then killed half of them, maybe, just maybe, their city wouldn't have been attacked since they worked in Israel. They knew about all the things that were going on because they were in, and they still are not. They don't attack you when you go to Jerusalem. You're a Muslim and you go to the mosque. They don't get up there and shoot you in the face. Try that in Gaza. I'm just saying, these people, for God's sakes, the Arab nations wouldn't even take them in. And apparently USAID built a new tunnel for them that's even bigger than the underground in London. I've been on the underground in London. That's saying a lot. I'm just saying. This is also why they get mad at me and say they probably can't see my clips in certain areas. The truth seems to hurt. So since they say we're not actually censored, so they're not blocking me, they just say we're not going to use this episode because of this, that. So come talk to me. I'd like to know what everything's going on, what we can talk about, what we can't talk about, and wonder why. There's a lot that I would love to say. People, it's America, America. Yeah, people go, okay. I've been seeing, especially Donnie Trump. I call him Donnie. He's a funny dude. Like Ronnie Reagan. I call him Ronnie. Gator Gitmo's fun too down there in Florida. I don't know what alligator Alcatraz. Don't steal mine. I like Gator Gitmo better. I have more folk in it. I have no problem. I am British. My DNA is British, Irish, Scottish. You can tell the red hair, green eyes. You can tell this. So, but I was adopted, so I really can't tell you a lot. But the point being, most of the people that came across, probably during the Irish famine, were also used as indentured servants. Look it up. I don't have time. So everybody was a slave. It's not just, oh, there was black slavery. There was all kind of slavery everywhere, at every continent, at some point in time. You can start with the Romans. That's pretty far back, but they seem to have covered that fairly well in History 101. And the reason it's called the United States of America is because it used to be America. But people don't seem to be taught that. They're not taught anyway. They're indoctrinated. But then again, that'll get me in trouble probably. They frown on that. So they can tase people when they come talk about their kid at school. But again, I digress. Told you he would photobomb me. I told you. That was Fast Walker. He never does that unless I'm up here broadcasting. So they call it again the United States of America. I also love Donnie. I love Donnie doing that. The Gulf of America. I died laughing. I still do. Every time I say Gulf of America. And I thought it was absolutely hysterically funny when Hillary found out they had her on camera. Those going. Funniest thing I ever seen Hillary do. Don't like the woman. But anyway, they frown on that too. Apparently they frown on things like that, but they don't frown on it if you say you don't like Donnie. Now, my grandkids, my kids, they all have Trump derangement syndrome. They all watch CNN. One of the most lying things I've ever seen in my life. And I'm not saying it that lightly. I'm just saying I quit watching them like 2-3 decades ago because I was like, I used to be a reporter. I used to run a newspaper in one of the small towns down here for fun. It's like, hey, well, so what is it? Oh, now my headphones cutting in and out. I might be a little louder than I thought. They did that after the Civil War. It's smashing my hair down. During the Civil War, of course, the South decided they really didn't like the Northern laws or the fact that their slaves were a little loud today. I guess it's just been out longer than I thought. What is in there? Okay, maybe we'll be a little bit less loud now. In any event, when we returned to being one nation under God, before they shot Lincoln in the head, you get something good and they got to go kill it. I don't know. They decided to add the United States on it. So it became the United States of America instead of just America, which they even wrote the Pope. Swear to God, my hand to God, at the Bible. I mean, just look it up. I mean, I swear. They actually still have the letters from Lincoln and from Jefferson Davis, who was the Southern president. Yeah, it's confusing. I'm from the North, so we were good with it. We kicked ass. So we actually, no, there was some terrible things that were done. It always is no more. I don't understand why there's still a war with Ukraine and Russia. I don't care what anybody says. They've attacked, they stopped. They've attacked, they stopped. Then this time they attacked again. They haven't stopped. I hear that, Gaza's got a peace agreement, but they didn't stop. The last peace agreement I saw, and I quit watching some of this crap, they went in and started grabbing younger men and bringing them out and shooting them in the head. I mean, really, you want to live out there, don't you? Yeah. They want everybody to take these refugees. Everybody did. And then we have things like Somalia running Minnesota and stealing $90 billion in whatever aid. And again, they'll probably get me for that too. Apparently, if you're not CNN, you're not going to cover that part. CNN's not going to say nothing about that. ABC, NBC, none of them. And I don't see how they can be called news channels. I like the legacy channel thing they gave them. That was nice. I remember when Fox started out in San Antonio, just as kind of almost like a PBS channel, free. It's free. Suddenly, hey, that's enough, Penny. Yeah, he's upset. There's girls outside. We end up with kittens dropped off in bags and stuff. It's just horrible what people do. So we were talking about all of that. And I know they say, oh, don't talk about when I was growing up. You didn't talk about religion. You didn't talk about politics. Two things that I tend to inadvertently stumble into every time I'm up here. So That's what the United States is all about. Yet we have places like I had started to say Chicago who've all abdicated or whatever you want to call this. I call it treason and sedition, but that that's what it was when I took History 101. That's what started the whole damn thing. The only thing they haven't done is fire a shot from Fort Sumter in South Carolina. That's it. The rest of it is, yeah, it's sedition. Luckily, they haven't divided the North and the South or whatever the hell. And Chicago on top of it, I mean, Jesus, if you looked at Seattle, San Francisco, LA, Chicago, any New York, oh God help New York. I think the only thing left there's a Target somewhere. I mean, in New York City. It's awful. It's horrific what they're doing I mean, it was bad enough that I don't know why, that they would send trillions of tax dollars to foreign countries for things like rubbers or whatever you guys call them nowadays. What? Why? Did we vote that? I didn't vote for none of that. Did y'all vote for that? This is free. Let's get our asses up here and say so. I don't see a voice other than I do see Candace Owens. And I like you, Candace. Please, who's the girl? I'm scared for you. Penny, shut up. Do me a favor. Shut up. See, if you say it every time he meows, he'll finally get over it. But if you don't, he will sit there and do that until he goes hoarse. And as a kitten, he didn't say a thing. And then suddenly he began to see the other ones that we take care of outside, and he gets like that. He'll cry like, and I have to go check. Does anybody hear it? I have one of those weird lives now. I'm the cat lady on the corner. Never really, I've loved cats. I can't say that, but we usually had a chow or a mix of a chow husky, something to that effect. We've always taken in animals, though. We're not going to go spend, if I could, $12,000 to get a husky. It's just, you got them at shelters or however, and it just broke us every time we lost one. So, and they stayed with us mainly 14, 15, 16 years gradually, and they just killed us. And then we ended up having one that we rescued because my grandson asked it. And then suddenly people were throwing cats out, mainly cats. We get some dogs, but they don't stay. And we don't capture them. We don't put them in cages. We don't do any of that. We take any inside the home, we've been brought those who are just too small that they can't be nursed, don't know the mother. We bottle feed them, and we usually can hopefully get them adopted out. Sometimes we just keep them because they've been with us long enough that they would be upset if they were moved. Luckily, there hasn't been too many. It's been enough. So they get, the vets bills for shots and spading and neutering, and it becomes expensive. If I wanted to do the ones in the back, we would do the catch and release. If I could find a veterinarian that would work with me, at least to capture the males, we would have them neutered and then let right back out in the yard. But we have only a kill shelter here in this county, and so they won't work with us at all, at all. I've tried different food companies for trying to figure out how to buy in more bulk, just because it would be easier than us driving out every other day to get food. Um, no, the biggest you can get is whatever they've got out there. You can't go through the company. So I don't know how they get food in shelters unless it's donated. It may be why there's so many kill shelters. It's very expensive to keep them, well fed and healthy. We don't give them any air conditioning in the summer. That's the only bad thing. But they do have heat in the winter. Various areas, there's tents up for plants, and where my husband will pull one of the cars or the RV or something to work on. There are heaters in there, and they can get in there and get out of the cold. So we keep water bowls and stuff in there so that they can spend the night in there. Because most of them won't. It doesn't matter how awful it is. If it's a nice day, it's sunny, they'll be outside. It's 28 degrees this morning. They were outside. I'm going to get a trough to start feeding all of them. I'll go to 2 or 3 to be feeding them. Then those 2 or 3 will have kittens generally. And then I'll have 10 to 12 with the moms all eating. And then I'll look around and this kitten is gone and that kitten that doesn't come back. And so I never know. And it really is sad for me. But I did the best I can with Jesus' help. Amen. Mother Mary, have mercy, amen. Because it's not easy, and most people probably wouldn't do it. It does cost us a couple hundred a month just to buy the food. But at the same time, we cannot watch anything be hurt or starve to death or people when you put water out. Our mailman stopped my husband the other day and said that they were feeding some and some of the others. We know how many of the neighbors they'll feed, but they do dry food only. We mix it with moist food as well. And he said, but I see that when you come home, they run from everywhere to your house. And so he brought a big bag of cat food to us to help out. And I mean, so people do the kindest things. Our neighbor across the street got orders for Germany, and we're at the base's first exit, right where you go in a mile or so. I always end up like this next to a base. Must be faked. In any event, they got orders for Germany. They brought over a bunch of cat food. They'd been feeding him. My other neighbor, she's, bless her heart, she's just recently widowed and she's 80 now, and she brings food and she puts out food. And so we have good neighbors. We have good neighbors, and most of us will try to help. But we're the only ones that make sure that they can get in out of sub-zero weather or rain. Although they love to hang out under the RV. We have that big like Wonder Lodge, and they love to hang out there. That's kind of their spot. It's shade during the summer, and during the rain or whatever they shelter up. But there's just spots for them. And at night they're in the tents usually. And then there's blankets and stuff out there that I put out, and then I go back and I wash. So the water bill increased by like 1,000 gallons when I started doing that. I was like, oh God, I don't worry about it too much, but at least for kittens, I try to put out enough to where they can all comfortably reside on clean material and snuggle up. And would you would think they would let me touch them or something? Nope. Then I have two, and they're moms, and their kittens are getting big, but they're still kittens. And they come up, and I can touch them, and one of them will run into the porch there for a little while. They're with my scarf. He'll run up in, or she'll run up in there, and she'll turn around and run back out. It's like just definitely a curiosity thing with cats. They got to know. So that's been fun. So let's see if that's anybody want to donate. Please put it in live chat for me. I will get in touch. If you guys want to see something or talk about something that you're not seeing me do, which I tend to, like I said, I just rattle. That's why I do it live. If I try to do it the other way, I'd edit myself out every time. So, it's not supposed to be that funny, I suppose. Maybe anybody else. I've seen some really good ones, and I subscribe to those. They don't like me. They don't throw in videos and talk about them, although if you do, Casper Saint, love you. Joe Rogan, been watching you since News Radio, love you, Del. It was a terrible thing that happened. And just a few, Shay Shay and a couple others, and I subscribe to those few. I thought I would be novel. I'm at home. I have my own bar. And then, of course, there's Shay Shay, Jay Rogan, and Bill Maher, and they've all got bars. It's like, well, I must have come in on the tail end of this one. And it's not like I'm going to have a guest list that's, everybody wants to see. The few people I do know that I wanted to come on refused to come on because they're shy, or they think that because one of them told me because Hippy was in the title, and I was like, yeah. I don't like that term baby boomer. I'm a hippie. I'm not a baby boomer. I was right at the end there, but I'll take hippie. And it was like, well, that means you're a drug addict. I was like, no. It means you were peace loving back in our day. That's where you get your peace symbol from, and the V's for victory, and peace now. And then I marched because I hated racism, and we ended that in my generation. Thank you, Lord. But then they started trying to bring it back in my generation. We're the same people going, don't do that. And now we're the same people that are supposed to pay people because they were slaves. Well, when you get through paying me during the Irish famine and so forth and so on, I can probably funnel some to you. It's just getting ludicrous. And they phased our jobs right out. One of the things that I did for years was data entry. It was one of the main things about the computers. We had to download everything onto the computers. And as soon as they train doctors how to use these, I mean, they roll around with them. They're not talking to you. They're looking at your record. They're looking at your prescriptions. You can do okay, yeah, but they're still you're out of there in 5 minutes doing the same thing, and off you go. I love it. We have now these critical places. If you got a cold, if you think you got COVID, you can go a mile down the road and be seen. Get out of there in a few hours. Got $175. So you can do that. I have done that. It's a lot better than going to the ER and paying theirs, even for the VA. Yes, I have a payment every month. So even when you retire people, I'm just telling you, they decide when you get it, i.e., it takes 4 months, sometimes less, usually 4 months. They tell you how much you're going to get out of it. I don't know where they get that, but that's how they tell you that you get X amount a month. And then you find out Minnesota is bilking you for $9 billion, but you are supposed to subside on very little. The government tells you that you have to, by law, pay insurance every month, or they don't let you drive. They take your tag, they take your license. I'm sure that the government could also tell the insurance companies that, hey, this couple has driven for 62 years, they've never had a ticket. You need to give them back some of them thousands of dollars because they ain't had to use them. Because I don't even drive at night. I haven't driven at night for decades since basically I started wearing glasses, and I didn't like how I could see well. And I'm not going to hurt somebody because I'm being stubborn and going, well, I'm fine. No, it wasn't fine. So I don't do that. And believe it or not, that can be difficult at times. I mean, one of the good reasons of it are you don't have to drive, but sometimes if you're coming from a family outing or something, I can't help drive. I won't do it. I simply won't. I'll sleep in the car. I don't care. I'm not driving at night. I'm a danger at night if I can't judge it right. It's me. I can't. Nobody's actually said that to me. It's just I made that decision on my own. So again, I don't drive 50 miles a month. Supposed to take all that down. Well, we had one insurance company last year that every month we were supposed to have it on automatic withdrawal. Every month we'd get a note saying they were cutting us off because we didn't pay it. So and we would again set it up with the automatic payment. And it's nearly $200 a month. And that's just no fault and so forth. And our cars are 20 years old. They're paid for. We don't drive either one of us over 50 miles anymore a month. And still, our payments haven't gone down since we used to drive that. My husband was a truck driver and he's an ace mechanic. So it just makes a lot of sense to me that the government, it's the biggest Ponzi scheme of all Ponzi schemes, that Medicaid, Medicare. And I'm sure they get mad because I say that. I keep hoping somebody will hear me and get on here and say the same damn thing. Hopefully I'm not the only idiot trying to tell the government, that's wrong. They're also, if you look it up, they were never supposed to tax wages ever. Ever. I had a friend. His brother was an attorney. They hadn't paid taxes, state, local, county, federal taxes, and all that time. Nor could they take their Medicaid and Medicare and unemployment out because they had their own set up for that. And they had plenty of money in it. I wonder where ours is. I wonder how much they're going to let us use. I never used a dime of unemployment. Do I get any back? Yes, sir. No. Yeah, no. Do you think you're gonna? Yeah, no. But then I hear during the pandemic, people are still on unemployment 5, 6 years later. I'm like, how the? I mean, literally, I would go down because they would shut because they were downside, whatever. It wasn't my own fault. That's exactly when you're supposed to be eligible. I could never get it. I could never get unemployment. Never. Or any money back. I thought upon retirement, and I still think so, you should be able to get your shit back. If you haven't used it, it should come back. Be starting to use Social Security. Toodle pip. Had to give up smoking about 10 years ago. A friend of mine came to the bar smoking these. And when I was in Europe, we used to sell our cigarettes and like Jack Daniels to our. I paid to live off the base when I was in Germany in particular because it was like they had 8-bedroom apartments and families needed those. So I just couldn't justify it. I actually had one and I moved into it because I had to get in there with my kid, go do something, and then went from there to look, wherever I could. And we had friends who were German, and find a place so I could leave this apartment for a family. And some of them needed 8 bedrooms. They had 5, 6 kids. I mean, I know because we all stuck together. So, there's always one big family. I miss it, especially when I go to the VA, but it's always old home week when you go. You never find a stranger in a VA if they're ever a stranger. It's one of the joys of my life, I'll say, that my health care is through them. And they've gotten a lot better at it. Thank you, Lord. Yes, they have. My father-in-law passed away here in the Augusta facility downtown, the VA hospital. We used to drive from below Macon to bring him up here. It would take 3 hours to come up, 3 hours to go back. And they had the whole, it was like, it'd be like the basketball court kind of size, and a bunch of chairs and little cubicles, and you would get a number. And if you got there early enough, you could get out of there by 7 or 8 o'clock that night. It was that bad to get through there. By the time I moved down here, I had lived near Warner Robins Air Force Base, worked there, and then I moved to Dublin area, so I went to VA there. So it wasn't until I came here, and I was kind of leery because we had lost, our father-in-law here. He was a Korean vet. And so I had to register here and do all that. But I was lucky because they had set up a second area. I think that it used to be a school, a university type of an area because I see the buildings and stuff that are there. And this is, I think they built a small hospital there somehow, and maybe a training hospital. I'm not sure. But now that's the women's clinic. And they've even added a slight emergency room. They say it's a little emergency room because they don't have a big one. You have to go downtown, but they can do certain things. Well, I've had to go there a couple of times. No, they can't. And they are not fast. They're not any faster than the other one, and they really can't do shit when they get to back. They just go, "Oh, that's certain. Yeah. We're going to take some Tylenol." One more doctor tells me to take Tylenol because I'm hurting. I'm going to punch him square in the face and hand him some Tylenol. I know they frown on that, but it flashes through your head after a couple of decades because they don't treat pain. And I love what they told me about broken bones. Well, we'll break them again if you don't get the surgery in time and they grow back in the positions they're in because they were all over the place. And but we can break them, put them back. And you're not in pain from the bones. No, it's not that. You'll be okay. Bones don't hurt when they break. And I'm medical corps. I've always been medical corps. I trained that way for the WAC and then ended up in regular Army, which is why I was at Fort Sam Houston, the duty station, and all my others, because I was the medical corps as well. And I generally stayed at one point behind the scenes and started doing all the paperwork. And then, like I said, we advanced, as everybody knows, up into the digital age. And it was quick, get everything out of analog because they're going to shut it down. And like I said, thank you, Lord. They stabilized that sucker around 2010, 2012. It's been pretty good ever since. I didn't think I liked Chromebooks when they came out. Now I have several Chromebooks that run all of this. We have several microphones and sets so I could throw everybody on. So if you're in Augusta and you would like to stop in and talk to me, throw it in the comments. I'm on live chat. But again, live chat. If I'm not up, you throw it in the comments anyway. And hopefully I'll get enough reminders to open it back up and go, yes, come on over. So if you're here, I would love to talk to anybody and everybody about everything. There's so much going on in the world. And we can see it in real time. We can do it in real time. And by gory, it's free. I don't know how long that's going to last. I do know that they say that they do not censor us. There's no censorship. Well, if you can't be aired in a certain way, or if they can't air that clip because of a certain thing, then that's censoring out free speech. But that's the way the world crumbles, and you got to go with it, So I'm gonna have to go. I've got things I got to do. So try to keep all of these ramblings of mine to an hour. So if you've seen me, Give me a break. I'm an old woman. I don't make money doing this. Don't want to. I just want to reach out and talk to people just like me. I don't care if you're in the Ukraine. I don't care if you're in London. I don't care if you're here in Augusta. It's just so much fun to talk to everybody else. And I love a good debate too, as far as that goes. So somebody show up here and tell me where I could be wrong. I highly doubt that. I was mistaken once. Yes, I thought I was wrong. I'm so evil. In the meantime, guys, keep it real, keep it peaceful, and let's get together. Maybe there's still a difference that the hippie generation can change. We stopped Vietnam. It took us a little while. We stopped segregation. Took us a little while. But now we've come through all of that and we straddle 2 centuries. We now carry in our pockets what we call a phone, which can do more than the computers that NASA used to run the space missions on. Our little phone can do 10, 20 times more than what they could do at NASA. I've still never figured out how Richard Nixon was talking to when they was on the moon. It still bothers me. So, Happy New Year to those of you who are finally like me being drug into it. And come and see me. Talk to somebody. Tell me you've seen somebody. Tell me what you want to talk about. Just jump on in. Come on and see me. I dare you. See you in a while, guys.